Hello, my name is Malcolm Mundy, and this is a continuation of my astrological seminar, Predictions for 2011. This time I'm going to be covering the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was conceived as an entity December 23rd, 1913, 6:02 p.m. And the reason for this particular time, Woodrow Wilson did a special radio announcement and announced that he was enacting the Federal Reserve Act and stated on radio, "I am now putting my signature on the act as of 6:02 p.m. And Federal Reserve, he also would later say that the Federal Reserve would be one of the biggest mistakes he made in his presidency. He would state this in his memoirs. Anyway, the Federal Reserve is going to have Jupiter going into the 10th as well as Uranus going into the 10th and for 2011, and I think you're going to probably see some more quantitative easing under this. We've already had quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2. And for those of you out there who don't know what quantitative easing is, well, it's a fancy Princeton term for printing more money. And that seems to be right now the way we're going to solve the bank crisis. We're going to solve the problems with unemployment, with people's unemployment insurance running out. We will just print more money, or we will execute quantitative easing. I guess that's the proper term or whatever. But we will probably see more loose money policy for the first half of 2011 with Jupiter in the 10th and Uranus in the 10th. And we're going to see a lot more criticism. They currently have Pluto transiting the 6th house. The 6th house, one thing I notice about it is that it can usually indicate criticism from foreign sources, countries or entities outside the country. The 6th house can represent criticism from those sources, and we're definitely getting such. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner was at a university in Beijing, China, and stated that the dollar was a stable currency, and it was reported that about 3/4 of the student body burst out laughing when he said this. Anyway, let's start with the Federal Reserve for 2011. First half will feature success with failures for audits of the Federal Reserve to take place. As you probably know, Ron Paul is now the head of the House Finance Committee, and I predict that there's going to be some colorful exchanges between Ron Paul and Fed Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke. There is going to be some incredible exchanges. There's one source that says that Ben Bernanke may resign. I don't know if it will go that far, but I predict that Ron Paul will not be successful in terms of trying to audit the Fed, in terms of trying to find out how much gold is at Fort Knox. For instance, he's trying to find that out right now. I think the Federal Reserve is going to stonewall him. I think the government is going to stonewall him. And I think, for the most part, Barack Obama is going to assist in this process. Okay, number 2. Foreign allies are going to be upset over Federal Reserve policy, and as a result, we may start to see the US dollar get rejected at certain countries and certain banks in foreign lands. If you are doing international travel for 2011, I caution you, be careful with what you think your dollar may bring you in other countries, because it may be outright rejected. There are some banks in Mexico that are rejecting the dollar right now, and there are some banks in Argentina that are rejecting it right now. Okay, number 3. The second half may feature talks or actions designed to either raise interest rates or make the dollar more attractive. Actions restricting gold and silver trading may also manifest, as well as restrictions on other currencies. We're probably going to see easy money policy for the first half of 2011, and then the second half of 2011, I think you may start to see the Federal Reserve start to tighten some bolts, possibly due to either a weak dollar, excessively strong commodity prices, which I think is going to be possible in the second half, and also just different problems that may be taking place financially. I don't know if we're going to have more bank failures in 2011 than in 2010 because of the quantitative easing that's going on. However, that could also be a possibility. We may exceed that number, and the Federal Reserve may be doing things to shore up the assets of such institutions to make them look attractive. And let's see, that's it for the Federal Reserve. Next is the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks for listening to my astrological seminar. My name is Malcolm Mundy.